back on the T5 today, another electrical problem, central locking this time, but only the driver's door. It works if you lock it manually and it triggered the alarm. So all the sensors are obviously working, so I think the wiring's okay. I think it's going to be the lock motor, but we can check the wiring first quickly. But if I try and unlock it, the car's unlocked now, but the door isn't. It didn't fail immediately. Sometimes it would lock, then it would unlock, and sometimes it would unlock but wouldn't lock. So it was kind of a bit of a mismatch, and gradually. So anyway, we're going to look at this today. There's a wiring connector in here which splits the loom. So it goes from the control module through this connector and then off to the door. So that's a one-piece connector. So I've pulled the boot off here. Check all your moving joints. So if there's a cable that moves, check that first. Make sure it's not rubbing. But we're going to have a look at this connector under here and see if there's a unlock and a lock pulse coming this far. If there is, I suspect it's the motor, but this is quick and easy before we start taking the lock out if we don't need to. If there's a problem here, let's fix that. To get access to this, we need to take this bottom trim off. There's a load of T20s screws. I've left one in just to hold it up, but take the screw out. That trim, you want that out, but you can see there's 3 across the top. There's one next to the diagnostic connector, 2 more there, and 1 right on this far left there, and then there's a pin that sort of locates it. Get that out of the way. Take that off. There's 2 screws here. There's 1 there and 1 there, and then you can take this trim out of the way to get that screw out there. Once you've got that out, this trim comes this way. There's a couple of clips that locate it here, and then you can drop it down out the way. See that black connector? There's numbers on the pins, but it basically goes 1 to 4 at the back. We're interested in pin 1 and 4. They should be our lock and unlock pulses to the motor. So if we've got power there when we're pressing the lock button or the unlock button here and here, then everything else should be okay. So it's the motor we're looking at. Right, latch this. It needs to see that, or think that the door's shut. It's pin 1, which is our purple and yellow. Now if we, there we go, hopefully you can see that. So that's working. And then if we go to pin 4, which is the blue and yellow, there you go. So that's the lock pulse. Pin 4 is the lock pulse. So we've got power here. I'll check it the other side. That's okay. The loom then goes straight through here to here and then through to our lock. So we'll have this panel off if that's okay. We'll get this panel off and we'll basically do the same thing. Disconnect the plug, put a test light on it, see if we've got a lock and unlock pulse. Because if we haven't, then we know it's a wiring problem between here. It's just a clip. You sort of lift that up and then you can get the cable out and that just hooks around for the interior release. Something I didn't do, which I should have done. Before you pull the card away, disconnect the LED because my one's popped out. So I have to fix that, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. Bit of super glue, it still works. But yeah, a little connector there, forgot about that. Oops. I've left this on. We're going to need to run the window up and down. We've got to get these grommets off. Like that. And then there we go. 2 10mm nuts. They're clamping the glass. So we undo them. We'll then pull the window up and then tape it up out of the way. Insulating tape. Don't use gaffer tape. You will regret that decision. Let's get a 10mm socket. Keep hold of this. Don't be shy about using lots of tape. It's a lot cheaper than a piece of glass. And if one lets go, there's one thing that the more you've got on here, the less likelihood they're all going to let go. You should fold the end over before you put it on. Makes it a little bit easier to get it off. So this is the plug off the lock, and the pins are numbered. So violet and yellow, blue and yellow are pin 1 and 2, and they're sort of next to each other. So if we pop our test light in here, and then so that's our unlock pulse. That's it. So there's a problem with the motor. Maybe it's fixable. Let's find out. To get this off, there's two M8 multi-splines, but also there's a little cable that goes to this latch. Basically operates, it was connected to that so that throws the latch or opens the lock. So we've got to get this bit out. And you take that off. And in there, there's a T20 right in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to undo that until we can pull that end section of the handle off. Undo this screw, but don't take it all the way out because it's just moving a slide back, which releases two like pins or sliders that will let this out. So just enough. Now we've got to get this little block out. It's on the end of a cable. That's the cable that releases or opens the door when you pull the handle. So get that out of the way and remember to put that back in. Right, both that and this cable, we're going to do these two bolts are going to come out with or they'll be attached to the lock. Yeah, they're only small. There's our lock. So now we're going to take this apart. It's rusty. I reckon there's corrosion in there and it's got wet. But we might need a new lock, but let's have a look. Get some of these bits off to give us a bit more space. So here's the offending article. Pretty sure this has to come out. Goes in there like that. Put that over there. And then these split apart, or at least they used to. I think the mechanical part comes off it, but I want to undo that one. It's a T25. Right, there's a T8. I think that releases the plastic. separate now. Should be the operative word. It's a little bit fiddly, but right. So that's all the linkage, which I don't know if you can see that awful lot of rust on there. You can see in here. I think water's got into this and probably killed it, but let's carry on. There's a load of these. Right. So this isn't looking. Instead of that. Right. These look all right. All these connectors here, you can see like the tracks. This all looks pretty clean. I was expecting to see that a bit dirty, but these are the micro switches. I know they work. So I want to see the underneath of this now. How does this come off? I think gently does it like that. This one's fighting me for some reason, and I don't really want to snap that board because that could be a bad thing. I'll give it a bit of a move in. There we go. Oh, something just popped off of there. Like that. So check the footage for that. Comes out. Oh, this is going to fall apart. I think we know that. So let's just. It's all covered in goo, which probably protects it, but makes it hard to see if there's actually anything wrong. So far, everything checks out. These micro switches all work. Check the continuity between them, between the pins. That one there, apparently that's quite a common one to go. That works when you physically, when it's locked, that's the one that tells the car that it's locked, so we kind of knew that one was working anyway. All these connections look good. There's resistance across the motor, so there's obviously internal connections. The only thing I haven't tried yet is putting 12 volts on that to see if it actually spins the motor. I think I'll try that next. Well, the motor works. Interesting. Well, that works, but doesn't mean so it's got enough oomph to do whatever it needs to do. But but it might just be that this is all stiff. So I'm going to clean this up, put it back together and see if that works, because that would be quite good if it works. This is the motor. Giving it a spray out, there's all sorts of horrible black shit coming out of here. I suspect that the motor's worn out, but see if that does anything. So I've sprayed it full of this stuff to clean it out. And then I just got an airline in there, blew it out and put the motor back in. So we'll assemble it and see if this has made any difference, because at the moment it hasn't got enough power to, you can feel it clicking, but it's not got enough power to operate the motor. So I'm just going to put a couple of screws in, see what happens. It's going to operate this bit here, so we need to get in there, and it's the last two pins, pin 1 and 2. I really don't want to short these wires together, so bear with me. I might have to swap it around depending on which way. Right, well that moved. Ooh. Right, let's try that on the car. Don't worry if the locking button doesn't work on this pad. It won't until the window motor's plugged in. They need to see each other. I think the circuits run through, so don't worry about that. That won't work until that's all plugged in. Now it works on the bench, but the proof for the pudding will be if it works on here. Latch the motor. Right. Let's unlock it. Well, that feels different. And that's locked. And that's unlocked. Hey. Well, there we go. It's the motor inside the lock that's getting carboned up. It looked all black and horrible, and that contact cleaner has cleaned it. So put this back together now, and hopefully that saved us a few quid. let that just sit down on its own. Don't force it, because we want it to go up straight. And don't over tighten these. Remember, we're holding glass. Right. Check that window goes up and down as it should. Then what we might have to do is reprogram all the way down. So basically hold it down. There we go. And back up. Lovely. Right, let's get that out of the way. Fit your grommets. Well, the door opens from the inside. The lock button works, which is good. Does it lock? Yep. Light comes on, indicators flash. There we go. Whether this is a permanent fix or not remains to be seen. But I've got the part number for the new lock mechanism, and I've also got a part number for the motor. So it could be worth just getting hold of a little motor, because they're probably only a £5. Hopefully this one's helped you out. Check out my other stuff. I'll see you on the next one.